Hello and welcome back to Bombchu Gaming News. My name is Chris, and I'll be covering some of the news from this week that we found interesting. Nintendo dropped a trailer and release date for the new Pokemon Snap game coming to the Nintendo Switch. The trailer shows off the gorgeous new Lentil region, and showcases some of the Pokemon and environments players will encounter there. There's a good number of newer Pokemon on display, many of which I didn't even know were Pokemon, but there's also plenty of classics to keep us old-timers invested. Professor Oak also appears to be gone as the one rating our photography skills, being replaced by the new Professor Mirror. Nintendo also teased an overarching story element to the game, revolving around mysteriously glowing Pokemon affected by something known as the Illumina phenomenon. Pokemon Snap was one of my favorite games on the Nintendo 64, and remains a cult classic among Pokemon fans to this day. I always thought that the Wii U was tailor-made for a new Pokemon Snap entry, but with the Switch's handheld motion controls, a new entry should feel right at home on that system as well. The new Pokemon Snap is currently set to release on April 30th. EA no longer has exclusivity rights to the Star Wars license. Back in 2013, EA acquired the exclusive license to developing games based on the Star Wars franchise, but it was announced that that deal will not be renewed past 2023. The news hit at the same time as a new Star Wars game was announced. Currently being developed by Ubisoft Massive, developers of The Division, the game is a currently untitled open-world Star Wars game. While more details were not revealed, the announcement that EA wouldn't be the only ones making Star Wars games is a big enough deal on its own. While EA has made a handful of truly great Star Wars games, their stranglehold on the IP was something that has bothered fans for a long time, especially after the Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco. EA did issue a statement following this announcement, stating that they looked forward to continuing to make more Star Wars games in the future, so we can still expect some Star Wars projects to come from them. This news also brought with it the announcement that LucasArts would be somewhat revived, now under the name Lucasfilm Games, and that they would be handling licensing for Lucasfilm properties going forward. It was revealed that one of the licenses that would be getting a new game was Indiana Jones, with Machine Games developing a new game based on the franchise, and Todd Howard serving as executive producer with Bethesda Publishing. Overall, this is incredible news for Star Wars and Lucasfilm fans in general. While another Ubisoft open-world game isn't the most exciting sounding project for me personally, a Machine Games developed Indiana Jones title sounds incredible. Plus, more variety in the companies making Star Wars games is a positive change overall, and hopefully we get some more creative and well-made entries in that universe. CD Projekt's co-founder has addressed the public regarding the rough launch of Cyberpunk 2077, as well as their plans for future updates and content. CD Projekt released a video featuring co-founder Marcin Iwinski, where he apologizes for the console versions and attempts to explain why the game launched in the state it did. As many had suggested before, one of the main problems seemed to be attempting to get the game running on older consoles, as well as them generally underestimating how much time they were going to need to finish the game. Unfortunately, while I'm sure Mr. Iwinski and CD Projekt are earnest in their apology, their attempt to explain why the console versions are such a mess really do not come off as well as they were probably hoping. Most of it boils down to game dev being hard, as well as seemingly laying some of the blame on the QA testers, which is not what players want to hear. However, he did also state that the full blame should be placed on the higher-ups, stating, quote, "Myself and the board are the final decision makers, and it was our call to release the game," end quote. Their current plans for the future of Cyberpunk are focused entirely on bug fixes, hoping to deliver a smoother experience for gamers on all platforms. The free DLC content updates, however, are being delayed. The original plan was for the first free content updates to be released shortly after launch, much like The Witcher 3, but these updates are now planned for sometime later this year, with more information in the coming months. While I had a ton of fun with Cyberpunk on PC, and encountered only a handful of mostly minor glitches and bugs, I understand fans' frustrations with the state of the game. The console versions are almost entirely inexcusable, and should have never been released in the state that they're currently in. However, the game itself is solid, with some of the best storytelling and world building I've experienced in an RPG, so they've got a good base to work with as they continue to make improvements. 2020 was the year Cyberpunk launched, but hopefully, 2021 is the year the game really gets to shine. And those are the headlines that caught our eye for this week. Make sure you let us know your thoughts on the news in the comments below, and we'll see you again next week. A huge shout out and thank you to Michael Slater, Blake Harms, and all of our other glorious patrons over on Patreon. Your support is what makes shows like this one possible. Thanks for watching.